Welcome to Niger Delta Today. My name is Xavier Robert. This is a Thursday edition. Today on the program, we'll be turning our attention on a theme that sits at the very heart of economic empowerment and sustainable development. This is talking skill acquisition. In a region as rich in resources as the Niger Delta, the paradox of youth unemployment, underemployment, and economic dependence remains deeply troubling. But at the core of any solution is one undeniable truth. Skills build capacity, and capacity builds regions. Across the Niger Delta, there's growing momentum around training programs, vocational hubs, digital skill labs, and state-sponsored entrepreneurship schemes. But the question is, are these efforts producing real lasting impact? Are they aligned with the actual needs of the local and global economy? And are the young people of this region getting the support they need, not just to learn skills, but to use them? Today, we take a closer look at skill acquisition as a strategic driver of regional growth, not just as a social program, but as a serious economic tool to reduce poverty, reduce militancy, and create real value in the communities that need it most. And I'll not be doing this alone. My co-host, Sifan O'Day, is just next to me. Sifan, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Happy Thursday. We're gradually running towards Friday, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and you're looking coffee.
Thank you very much.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
All right, let's delve into the matter.
Absolutely.
And as usual, we'll start with a story of interest. And we are taking you to Rivers State, where the Rivers State has listed among flood-prone areas by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. And the state government has issued a stern warning against illegal reclamation of wetlands, vying to prosecute offenders in line with environmental laws. Now, the state government also warned against erecting structures there. The warning follows NEMA's recent deployment of sensitization teams to the state and other high-risk regions to educate residents on flood preparedness and mitigation strategies. The Rivers State government expressed full support for NEMA's effort and urged residents, particularly those in vulnerable communities, to take precautionary measures to protect lives and property in Rivers State. Now, authorities in the state emphasize that unapproved land reclamation contributes significantly to environmental degradation and worsens flooding by disrupting natural drainage channels. The government maintained a firm stance against such activities and pledged to take legal action against individuals or organizations involved in them. Residents have been advised to clear blocked drainage systems, refrain from dumping waste into waterways, relocate from flood-prone areas where necessary, and report any environmental violations to the appropriate agencies. The government reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding the environment and the well-being of its citizens, calling for collective responsibility in addressing flood-related challenges across the state. Now, Xavier, if you look at it, I ask myself, why are people taking such risk?
Well, I think this is another point where the nature reminds us in the Niger Delta region who is boss. Also getting people to understand the importance of ensuring that they take care of the environment, because, I mean, when water moves as a flood, it doesn't care who is a senator, it doesn't care who is a minister, it doesn't care who is poor. It simply just toes the line that it finds free passage. So if the people continue to involve themselves in acts that continue to deplete the environment, we're going to continue having these issues. And when we put it in context, Nigeria loses an estimated 351,000 hectares of wetlands annually due to these illegal activities. And the Rivers State government stamping its feet down at this time and saying that it's going to prosecute those ones who are involved in these acts. I think it's timely. And the hope is that it will not just be lip service. It will actually go ahead and carry out these warnings.
It's not about arresting these people, but prosecuting to serve as deterrent to other people might want to get involved in such illegal
when you talk about the
activities.
kind of environment we live in, it's difficult to get people to toe the line of what's legal. So when you put in the measures in place, you have to follow it up as much as possible, because it's not a 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month thing. It has to be consistent, because once you leave it unchecked, it returns and it becomes a full-blown issue. Well, let's bring you Niger Delta updates for today. In a move to strengthen gender equality in agriculture, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has reaffirmed commitment to a gender-inclusive framework to support women, youths, and agripreneurs nationwide. The announcement came during a South-South zonal consultation in Uyo on the revised National Gender Policy and Strategic Plan from 2025 to 2030. The meeting, supported by ActionAid Nigeria, gathered stakeholders from Akwa Ibom, Delta, Bayelsa, and other South-South states. National consultant Nkiruka Okonkwo said the review aims to tackle policy gaps and promote equity for women, youths, and agripreneurs.
Nationwide survey, which is currently ongoing, targeting all stakeholders in agriculture in Nigeria to be able to identify the barriers and priority actions for men in agriculture, women in agriculture, young people, that's inclusive of youth and children in agriculture, and persons with disabilities that are in agriculture. These are the four main categories that the revised draft National Gender Policy in Agriculture is focusing on. This whole idea is to make sure that we are helping our government to transform the agri sector so that the stakeholders are beginning to identify the gaps. For instance, for the South-South zone, some of the gaps that we are identifying were issues around flooding in terms of climate change, and then the youth feel that they are not being really involved, and the women as well when it comes to technology within their Greek space, and then access to land, ownership of land.
For ActionAid, we are interested in this process because if we have a policy that covers these people to ensure their voices are heard, they ensure their participation, and also ensure that they are included in policies and programs that will benefit them and improve their livelihood. So that's why ActionAid is interested in this process. And also for the National Gender Policy, ActionAid was instrumental among the stakeholders that push for its development, and they currently chair the National Gender Steering Committee for the implementation of the policy. The policy has been implemented over 5 years and is at its point of review. So for us, we are interested in this review process to get the voices of the key stakeholders.
Away from that, the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Pastor Umo Eno, has called on youth to focus on self-development and skill acquisition to boost their employability. As speaking at the International Pastors Conference in New York, the governor said his administration has created platforms to connect citizens to job opportunities. He also charged church leaders to promote unity, peace, and tolerance, saying religion remains a powerful tool for positive change in the society. Let's take a look.
Why can't we have essay on climate change, essay on how I'm going to get carbon credits for all of the solar lights that we are doing in Uyo and all of the solar panels like the one this church has? Why can't I have someone who is an expert from Akwa Ibom who will tell me, look, this is my CV? Because we're looking for essay on climate change, essay on carbon credits, essay on blue economy. We're not looking for essay because you want to just have essay that sits at home and you want money to come in every month. And when there is a little delay, the media is filled that we are owing salaries. So you can see that there is a dearth of serious capacity in critical areas where, and then you make the mistake of bringing somebody from outside who is not an Akwa Ibomite, who has capacity, instead of us to learn We criticize. He has gone to bring somebody. What happened to Akwa Ibomite?
Away from that, at St. John Paul II Montessori School yesterday, it held her transition class graduation amid different intelligence showcases that swelled the hearts of parents with pride. A correspondent tells us more on how the event went in Uyo.
It was a day filled with pride, emotion, and celebration as young graduates took center stage at St. John Paul II Montessori School. Parents and guardians looked on with joy as the children confidently showcased the knowledge, values, and character they've learned over the academic year. The event featured a variety of performances, from songs and recitations to dramatic displays, all reflecting the remarkable growth and learning the pupils have experienced. In their remarks, parents expressed heartfelt appreciation to the school's management and teaching staff for their unwavering commitment to both academic excellence and moral development.
Thank you so much because it's not fun, but today she's a great girl. And every other child out there, I want to thank you so much. On behalf of my husband, I want to say thank you.
Amazing today. Before today, my kids were going to school. I've been drinking from the previous school year because much attention was not given to my second son. Today, I am already doing quite well.
The transition class graduation marks a significant milestone as the pupils move forward into the primary section, equipped with confidence, curiosity, and readiness to embrace the next phase of their educational journey.
Well, as part of efforts to curb drug trafficking and abuse, the Edo State Command of the National Drug Law and Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has arrested 37 suspected drug traffickers in the state. The NDLEA State Commander Michel Ofoyeju says over 345 kilograms of drugs were seized and 7.2 hectares of cannabis farms destroyed at Okwese and Ubada Uzeba Forest in Awan West local government area of the state. And 5 convictions were secured. 11 suspects charged and over 100 cases are still pending at the Federal High Court in Benin City.
And lastly, on Niger Delta Updates today, as the Mo administration of Delta Governor Sheriff Borivori progresses into the second half of its first tenure, the governor has introduced a periodic strategic key performance evaluation process called Performance Bank Unit for all government ministries, departments, and agencies. The strategic move is to check competence, improve efficiency, and effective policy implementation to fast-track his administration's infrastructural development and excellence towards alignment with acceptable global standards. In this regard, all heads of NDAs are to prepare periodic key performance feedback reports and submit same to the Performance Bank Unit, which is domiciled in Office of the Delta State Chief Economic Advisor for onward transmission to the state governor. Here's what the governor said.
The Performance Feedback Unit has been established in the Office of the Chief Economic Advisor to measure and track implementation of the established targets timelines. The underlying rationale behind the performance feedback mechanism is to ensure objective and concrete basis to hold head of MDAs responsible for the performance of the various MDAs in the delivery of the more agenda policies and programs. This performance accountability framework is in pursuit of our overall goal to improve the living conditions of Delta and to enhance the environment for businesses and investment that create employment through the economy. Henceforth, all NDs are required to prepare and submit accurate periodic performance reports to the Performance Feedback Unit, which will process, vet, summarize the reports as performance scorecard for transmission to the governor through the Chief Economic Advisor.
The overall function of the parliament is adequate representation of their constituents in state echoes to federation.
Removal of fuel subsidy, resources to critical sectors such as education and health. A call to unity and progress of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
NAS Unplugged is a program that will highlight topical issues from both chambers of the National Assembly, from bills, motions, and constituency projects.
Guys have it.
Catch the program on ADBN TV, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays as we bring you activities of the National Assembly as it affects the people.
During the flood disaster in Maiduguri and its environs.
For increase in the number of judges in the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
The eyes have it.
NAS Unplugged, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Well, for the next 25 minutes or so, we're talking about something that has to do with a spotlight of skills gap, that widening space between what our graduates learn and what the industries actually need. Across the Niger Delta, this mismatch affects employability, industrial growth, and economic development. But some agencies are bridging that gap with practical answers, one of which is the Industrial Training Fund, ITF. Well, how is industrial training and technical skill transforming young lives and strengthening regional growth? Across many universities and polytechnics, students graduates with degrees that don't align with today's job market, particularly in fields like oil and gas, ICT, agriculture, and marine services. This mismatch leads to frustration, unemployed graduates, industries unable to find skilled workers, and missed opportunities for the region's development. How then is the Industrial Training Fund addressing these gaps? And by extension, what should the focus on empowerment be like by governments of the Federation? Is this still the era of wheelbarrow empowerment, or such an era has been overtaken by more updated trends? Joining us on the program this afternoon is Mr. Chika Packer, Head of Training ITF, Uyo Area Office, to tell us how the ITF is tailoring its training programs to meet market needs. You're welcome on the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Chika.
Thank you. Well, for the benefit of viewers and persons who do not really understand the work that the ITF do, I'd like you to speak generally, give a background sort of on the work that you do, especially as it is related to skills acquisition. We've heard different stakeholders and persons who understand what it takes say and give their own quota regarding what they feel skills should represent in a region as ours in the Niger Delta. I'd like you to give us a background to the ITF's activities.
All right, thank you very much. ITF simply stands for Industrial Training Fund. It came into existence by Decree 47 of 1971, 8 October 1971. And you know, a child born in 1971 is either a grandfather or a grandmother to tell you how far ITF have come. Okay. Yes, and then ITF, our motto is to develop the nation's human resource. That is actually our sole responsibility. And then away from that, we are Also into series of training, talking about skill training, talk about training at the management level, talk about training at the supervisory level, talk about training at the operational level, and then we talk about training at the safety level. All these things we do, but particularly talking about skills gap. ITF don't go into training like that. They first of all do what we call identification of training needs. If you're talking about this skills gap, we are talking about needs analysis on the skill gap. You don't just go into it to know actually what is needed before we venture into it. To develop either a structured, curriculum or unstructured one, which is self-directed, and then on the job training. Are you getting what I'm saying? But I want to also make you understand that ITF, apart from all these things, there are a particular program we venture into that no other training outfit does it. And that is reimbursement. Reimbursement simply means giving back 50% to organizations that must have trained in the last 1 year.
Financially?
Yes, financially.
Where did they get the funds from?
Yes, we give them. ITF give them because they pay what we call training contribution.
Okay.
So that training contribution, we keep it for them. So the whole essence of giving them that reimbursement is to ensure that people in the organizations are trained.
So the ITF is captured by the annual budget of the federal government?
Of course. No, it's not captured because we are self-sustained.
Sustained.
Okay.
We are self-sustained.
How do you generate your funds?
We generate our fund by companies coming to pay their training contribution to ITF.
Okay.
That is how we generate our fund.
All right. You earlier spoke about human capital development as part of the areas that you look into. I want you to give us some sort of context to what you have noticed, the gap you have noticed in the Niger Delta region when you talk about human capital development. Right. What work has the ITF been able to do in that regard currently?
Okay. ITF, as I mentioned, we are everywhere. We have about 42 area offices in Nigeria. Now, talking about the gap we have noticed in Niger Delta area. Niger Delta is a volatile area. Very, very volatile. That is why we use a theory to peep into it to see how we can, ameliorate such problem. Theories like relative deprivation, rising expectation, frustration, aggression theory. That is what befits Niger Delta. So what we do after need analysis, we will now be able to understand and know what actually is needed in Niger Delta. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yes, we are saying that the youths are not, they are not creative, they are not interested in anything like skill.
Why do you say so?
Yes, I say so because a lot of them, government impact is not being felt as to tailor them into what they should do. Now, you see, white-collar job is arithmetically increasing. White population is increasing geometrically. So at the end of the day, there is that gap of people to go into white-collar job and then other people remaining apart from matching it up. So what we do is to bring in this skill because it's the currency of the 21st century. What we really need in Niger Delta, what we really need, and that will expose what we call training need analysis to it. And at the end of the day, we'll now come out to understand what should be trending in Niger Delta. Not talking about any kind of training, want to empower somebody and all of that. We should carry out need analysis to know what Niger Delta needs.
And have you done it recently?
That is so. We have not done it. We have not carried out those need analysis in Niger Delta for the meantime.
Okay.
But talking about institutions like CWES, Student Industrial Skill Experience Scheme, you are talking about ICT, you are talking about other disciplines. What we do, we monitor them. These institutions, we monitor them and make sure they are round peg in a round hole. You cannot imagine somebody who is a medical doctor going to do his IT in maybe a mechanical engineering firm. It's not done. So what we do is to make sure we tailor them into what they should do. Like, if you are a mechanical engineer, you work in a mechanic workshop. If you are a medical person, you work in lab and all of that. Those are the things we do to make sure we get it right.
Well, the conversation is about how these skills gap can be closed as much as possible. Well, earlier I noticed you mentioned an aspect that had to do with the creativity of the Niger Delta youths, and that you called it into question. You said they are not creative enough.
Yeah, no, yes. What I'm saying is, you see, the government is not channeling them to getting what the youth should do. That is what I'm saying. The government, everything ends with the government. Now, if the government wants students or the youths to be ICT compliant, there should be a curriculum. There should be a way of doing it so that these people, getting money now is very, very difficult. They are not working. So they should do it free of charge for them. It should be done free of charge. You see, people will be coming to do it. And then at the end of the day, not only training them and abandoning them, you train them and equip them. And then set them up. Are you getting what I'm saying?
The blame is on governments now.
Yes.
Okay.
You set them up. Not training them and then leaving them just like that. And then again, we came to realize that most of these people, when we send out our form sometimes to get these people to be trained, you see that it will be given to political people who are followers of politicians. And these people are never serious about it. And at the end of the day, they will just dump it, and then the whole thing will be an exercise in futility. So we need people that are serious-minded that should pick the form, because most of these time they normally ask us to give them the form. If we are giving them like 100, they will say we should give them like 70, 50. And at the end of the day, it will be given to this political circle. And at the end of the day, none of them will come and then be trained on it.
Well, Mr. Chika, as an expert in the field, I understand that you've not carried out a needs assessment in the region, but as an expert, what kind of skills are really suitable for people living in this region of Niger Delta?
You see, like what your area office is marketing now is AI. That is what is trending. AI is trending, and then it is AI we are trying to see how we can even, sell and then bring participants, train them on it. Right now, we have from August 7th, 5th to 7th, we have a training program on AI in our area office here. I'm a Niger Delta man based on the fact that I'm from Rivers State, but working in Akwa Ibom. We are still the same thing. So what I'm saying is that, AI is trending, and that is what is globally recognized as I speak. So we should gear towards AI, channeling them to AI. That is what is trending now.
When we talk about the ITF and the level of success you've been able to accomplish in the Niger Delta region now, would you say that that's commensurate to what is truly needed at this time? Have you been able to break grounds? What are some of those exploits that you have registered within the Niger Delta region now that you can say truly the ITF is doing its work? You say it's since about 1977?
71.
71, that's a really long time.
Yeah.
Since then, have you seen true commitment by the ITF to truly move the skills sector to where we want it to be in Nigeria?
Yes. When we started with NISDP, National Industrial Skill Development Program. And it's on so many trade areas. Is it welding? Is it tiling? Is it POP? We're into it. We do it, and then we buy our starter pack and give to them. We train them. That was in the era of NISDP. But presently, what we are doing is super. Skill up artisans. That is what we are doing now. We are trying to bring the artisans to train them to the level of international standard. That even the way we used to go out to Togo and all of that, to call all these people to come and do BOP and all of that. We, after training them, we also want the international communities to also call our people. That is the way we are training them now. We are training them we train the artisans coming to cascade the training to other trainees. That is what we are doing.
Well,
Okay. The NISDP actually made a landmark because a lot of them we are trained on hairdressing. Is he talking about plumbing? Is he talking about, electrical wiring and all that? and so many other things. And some of them are doing very well. That is the truth. But just of recent, we discovered that most of them, after giving them the package, the starter pack, they go and sell them. They go and sell them. So when we discovered that, we said, okay, no, that we'll now stop giving them starter pack and then give them the cognitive orientation.
Then after that, what happens?
About it. So, but you should understand that ITF is not only in the making, in the process. We have ITF to carry out solely the training. We also have Bank of Industry. After ITF must have trained, they will now go there to source for money with a well-written plan, business plan on how to source money from them and then implement whatever we must have taught them.
Well,
so it's not ITF, giving them fund, kind of. It's Bank of Industry.
Giving the funds.
The root of it all would have us still tackling what is the reason these skills are not scalable. When you talk about empowering these persons with skills, and then we still see them wanting to, like you mentioned, sell or give out the starter packs. What do you think is the root cause of that mentality where you are supposed to scale up yourself? Is it that the skill is not up to par, or they simply are not interested? What is the problem? What is the background to all of this that should be tackled first for the youths of the Niger Delta region to truly reawaken to what's at stake?
I mentioned earlier here that most of the people that are coming for this skill are coming through politicians.
So it is just...
You shouldn't stop them from being interested in...
Yeah, they are coming through the politicians. And then they request for greater number of the funds. And these people are not interested.
They're not passionate about it.
Exactly. Giving way to those of them that are poor. Those indigent ones who would like to make good use of it. So by the time you give it out, those are the people the government will give it to. And at the end of the day, the program will not see the light of the day. That is actually one of the problems.
Well, some of the skills that we have currently are saturated. You talk about barbing, talk about hairdressing, and the rest of not like they are not important, but then if you listen to the governor, Pastor Umo Eno, speaking earlier in our Niger Delta Update segment, he spoke about the skills that are in vogue right now, that are truly needed in government spaces and institutions. What are those skills that are truly needed, which are supposed to be skilled at this time? Well, when we talk about some of these skills that we are seeing currently, why is it that we cannot reach that point where we scale, these skills and be able to use them effectively?
See, I also mentioned here to you about AI that is trending now. You also have things like cybersecurity and the rest of them. Those are the ones that are in vogue that we need to train them on. And I rightly mentioned to you that right now we are marketing a course in AI. Those are the things we do. And it is trending, And as I'm talking to you now, I've been shortlisted to go to Lagos to learn AI as I speak to you. Next week I'll be in Lagos throughout the week. It's on AI. How to use AI to enhance productivity in your office. So we are also doing it here.
Okay.
We have made some collaborations of people that will come and then handle it from ITF.
All right, Mr. Chika, the Niger Delta region is a region blessed with natural resources. We have some people go into, because of the large body, water bodies, we have people go into boat making. Some of them are known for crafts. And now these are most times ancient occupation used by our forefathers. And now we have emerging trends. How do we incorporate this to ensure that this sector actually is raised to a standard to compete favorably with, international, community?
Okay. You see, I earlier on mentioned to you, Niger Delta is a peculiar area, away from other areas that are not riverine, because of the nature of our oil and all of that. So Oil and gas has not been fully, looked into. Oil and gas are not been fully looked into. You see, these craftsmen you are talking about, boats and all of that. Yes, boat making, at a time, boat came in. It was a shift from this craft to boats, these engine boats, and all of that. So at the end of the day, we ended up having all these speed boats and whatever. I think that is what is in vogue for now. The issue of paddling is no longer there.
So can we use AI to, since we have these are olden methods, some of them use old methods of making this crude method of making this boat. Is there any way we can incorporate AI into making?
There is nothing AI cannot do. It depends on the availability of the knowledge.
Okay.
There is nothing AI cannot do. AI can clone you. AI can do anything as perfect as human being. Are you get what I'm saying? AI can make you go into what is it called? This shopping mall, and you will be shopping as if you are there.
Well, in as much as the advantages of AI has been spoken of widely, there are also those that are speaking of the disadvantages of it and the necessity of striking a balance, which I believe is, of course, one of the reasons you're being sent for that training. But when we return, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we will talk about some of the efforts that must be taken by governments of the Federation. I know that the ITF cannot do it alone. There are state governments in the 36 states of the Federation that have roles to play when we talk about skills augmentation and steps that they can take towards ensuring that they incorporate their youths and engage them effectively for the kind of skills that are relevant in the 21st century. So we'll take a breather, and when we return, we would be delving deeper into the issue of skills acquisition and how to bridge the gap. Do stay tuned.
Power, policy, politics. What really happens behind the scenes? And how do government decisions shape your life? We ask the tough questions, break down the policies, and uncover truth behind the politics. Join us live 8 p.m. every Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. as we bring you compelling stories, dissect the news, and amplify the authentic voices of people breaking bounds, shaping the world, and defining the happenings at the heart of Nigeria.
Showing only on ADBN TV.
The future of our planet depends on our daily choices. But with the ever-growing demand for energy, innovation, and industrialization, how can we balance our needs with the need to protect our environment? Exploring a greener world, one story at a time. Carbon Footprint is your guide to a sustainable ecosystem. Join us as we explore the intersection of energy, innovation, industrialization, and the environment on Carbon Footprint every Saturday by 11 a.m. Together, we can create a sustainable ecosystem.
Showing only on ADBN TV.
ADBN, Advocate Broadcasting Network.
Many thanks for staying tuned. We still have our guests in the studio speaking to us on the issue of skills acquisition in the Niger Delta region and how to scale it. Mr. Chikapaku, well, when we talk about different state governments in the Federation, especially the Niger Delta region, now you hear of governments speaking of how they are interested in skills acquisition for the youths of their respective states. But then it still boils down to implementation and being able to ensure that these persons are well oriented to be able to deploy these skills that they have acquired eventually to become meaningful to them and the society that they represent. Now, do you think that there are scalable steps that each of these state governments can take towards ensuring that these skills are profitable, not just to the individuals who acquire them, but to the region that they serve as an export?
Yeah, it's very correct. The Niger Delta, as I mentioned earlier, is a peculiar area. And then government has a lot of role to play when it has to do with skill development in that area. Why? Because when these people are trained by ITF, when they are trained, they are supposed to monitor them, create a conducive atmosphere for them to do their business. As in, after the training, they are supposed to set them up and then even create an atmosphere where others also come and learn from them. But you discover that after the training, they are just left like that. So, but I'm urging the government to see what they can do in that regard by training them. After training them, you ensure that you set them up. You set them up into that very skill and training they have been given. Set them up with the material, the equipments, set them up in terms of finance, and then make the environment conducive. When you do all these things, see, investors will start coming. Investors will start coming. Are you getting what I'm saying? There will be competition. There will be that creativity and then innovation owing to competition. Because everybody will want to do it in such a way that, I want to be, ahead. And you see that competition and innovation and creativity coming in. But when government is not part of it and then just leave them halfway, I mean, the whole exercise will not be an exercise in futility.
Well,
so government has a very strong role to play. Very strong role.
Now, what is the role of those other persons who are going to be beneficiaries of these steps that are being taken by the government? If we were to bring it back home here, Governor Umo Eno over time has spoken about youths acquiring skills and viable skills for that matter. Is it just the government or the youths themselves or the persons that are supposed to acquire these skills have specific roles to play towards ensuring that they succeed?
You see, government will do their bit. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's not just saying it. Government should back whatever they are saying with action. When the people are now aware that government is interested in it, they will take it seriously. They will take it seriously. When somebody is trained, if ITF, maybe let us say for instance, ITF does the training, and then the government will come in and then set them up, give them what is needed, the way without it take for them to kick off their business. It will go a long way. But the way it is, they will train them, just like I mentioned earlier, is a very important factor. They should leave it out for these indigent ones. Those ones that there are people that, irrespective of how government is taking over everything, you see the few ones that are still being very serious about it. But at the end of the day, there is no fund. No fund. How do you execute it?
Well, another very important concern is how successive governments continue policies of the previous ones. Now we have Governor Umo Eno in Akwa Ibom State talking about the DASAC Skills Acquisition Center, and it is naturally designed to ensure that youths are equipped. But then, after this administration, you do not know what will happen if this skills acquisition idea would be carried on or transferred to this, subsequent administrations that will come up. How has this affected the conversation today? Has it affected it in any way?
Yes, it has, because you see, what is actually playing out about continuity is a problem. Honestly, it's a problem. In fact, a problem in third world countries, particularly Nigeria. Now, Umo Eno is doing very well. I've gone to the ski center. I was there once when they were, was it 2-3 months back? I was there to see what this man has done. It's not a child's play. I saw it. And they had departments and various trade areas, they are being trained on. But the fact is this: they will register and be trained on it. What next after them?
After the training.
Where do you put them? That, okay, this man is a product of dark whatever that you are seeing doing very well. Where do you put them? Everything will just end up that way. And then by the time Umo Eno will leave, another person will come and then start his own kind of. A change of policy is actually affecting all this skill development we are talking about.
Indeed.
If Umo Eno has started and then ended somewhere, it should be a very good thing that another person coming up should be able to take it up from that point.
Well,
Mr. Chika, there are also some experts suggest that incorporating skill acquisition into school curriculums is the right way to go. Do you also to that?
Very, very, in fact, excellent. Excellent. That is what we are saying. Even now, in other climes, you are a graduate, fine, but what can you do with your hands? In our parlance, we used to say, a trained hand is a skilled hand. So what are we talking about? What do you lay your hands on that you will do? Because laying your hand on anything doing enhances learning. The whole essence of skill acquisition is a process. You don't just learn it and leave it like that, because you must place your hand. That is why we are talking about the practical aspect of it. That is why we are talking about the practical aspect of it. So, right from the school, let me go back to the CWAs. CWAs, in your first year, second year, you go to organization relevant to what your course of study is. To ensure that you learn the practical aspect. That will go a long way to bridge the gap between theory and practice.
Practical.
Are you getting what I'm saying? So that is what we should do. Anybody who is passing through university should also accompany it with what? Skill.
It should be compulsory.
Yes, it should be compulsory. It should be factored into the curriculum.
Well, in another dimension now, we talk about MSMEs and their contribution to the economic stream within the Niger Delta region. And oftentimes we see this sector complaining about under support from the different governments that they find themselves. Do you think that the roles that the MSMEs play in the different states in the region are critical enough for them to get more support to be able to augment whatever they do?
Okay, we are still talking about governments and then how they see the economic sector. You see, SME contributes 46 to 47% of our GDP. SME. They are very, very important and then very, very important. So in ITF, basically, we deal with this SME. We go to them. We conduct, first of all, we register, we pre-select them, then go and then talk with them. If possible, conduct survey, tell them what and what that is needed, train them. We train them. For us to make for them to be strong in their business. We train them. This SME, we train them. But you see, over time, most of their complaint is government and their taxation or whatever.
Yeah.
So these people are many income earners. How can you come and tax them in that their little income?
Multiple
you are frustrating them the more.
Does that not remind you of the tax reform law that has been put in place by President Tinubu? How would this affect them positively? Because it is supposed to address some of these issues of multiple taxation.
Yes, he's going to address it if it will be implemented as it is. Because now we are talking about double taxation being eliminated and all of that. So it will go a long way. Are you getting my point? It will go a long way. But what we are saying is, will this thing be implemented according to how
it's been designed?
That is the issue.
How much
yes, we agree that Nigerian Revenue Service is what has come to stay now, based on revenue. So the issue of CAC, the issue of ITF compliance or whatever, the issue of this and that, has been nipped on the ball. So it is just one, whatever. I think if they implement it that way, and then proportionally, if they should pay the tax proportionally, it will be okay.
Okay, well, as we begin to wind down the conversation, beyond youth now, we notice that there's the demographics of the region that are often neglected. You talk about the elderly, the aged, who are, all out and they cannot be involved in some of these skills that we talk of. Is there a provision that can incorporate this sect of the society to still be able to stay relevant in the societies they find themselves?
Yes. I told you our problem is always the government. I will always say it anyway. Go to other climes, they take care of them. Yes, it will come to a point where you remain incapacitated, There is a point you will reach in terms of age. You'll be incapacitated economically, you will not be viable. Are you getting what I'm saying? But if it is a country that things are working, these very aged people must have set up one thing or the other that will be bringing income to them. Talking about inheritance. There are people like, for example, although it has been faced away, I cannot remember again, there is a wristwatch they call Quaz. If you remember, Quaz has been there for as long as time can remember. What is sustaining it is succession. Succession planning.
All right. I would like you to give us just 20 seconds or 30 seconds brief into what an ideal Niger Delta would be that is rich in the skills economy. What do you think it is going to look like if we were to have a Niger Delta where we have youths who are sufficiently skilled and are able to scale these talents that they have away from the oil boom?
If Niger Delta people will take the skill seriously, the sky will be our limit. Because one, it will attract investors to Niger Delta. It will attract investors. It will boost our revenue base. Our national domestic product will also be enhanced from that angle. And then, there will be a lot of creativity. There will be a lot of innovations. There will be a lot of reduction in waste. Reduction in waste because people are skilled in doing it. And then, accidents will be reduced. Waste will be reduced. And all of that. So you talk about how high-performing economy.
All right, Mr. Chika Paku, Head of Training ITF, Uyo Area Office. Thank you very much for your points and ideas on the issue of skills acquisition for regional growth. That's in the Niger Delta region. We appreciate your views. And as you have said, we look forward to a government that is more interested in ensuring that it augments its youth population to be able to match up with global best practices. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
That's the size of Niger Delta today. Many thanks for staying tuned. My name is Xavier Roberts, wishing that you join us again tomorrow for another edition.
And I am Siphon Ode. Good afternoon.